Did I ambush Marcus Rogers in yesterday's stream? Ladies and gentlemen, we are gonna talk about the specifics. I'm happy that you're here with us. If you're watching this, I appreciate you. If you want to help us out on the YouTube algorithm, give this video a thumbs up. It costs you nothing, and it tells YouTube that you like videos like this, which they will say, oh, we're gonna push this up the algorithm. You'll see the numbers go up. It helps a ton. And I gotta send a big shout out to all the Patreon supporters who hold down this channel. So let's get right into it. Yesterday I had part 2 of my interview with Marcus Rogers. I think it was a great interview, personally. I think it was a dope interview. So I've never been one to not read the room, but some of the comments had the audacity to allude that me, John, and Brother Allen ambushed Brother Marcus as if we're some street gang and I, the double agent, set the meetup in the back alley, and then they showed up and they beat him up while I was watching and I switched teams. Come on. I understand that a lot of you guys are Marcus Rogers fans. Hey, I love Marcus Rogers. That brother's anointed. You know, he has talent. He's passionate. He's zealous. There's a lot that I can learn from him. But this, not just the language. Did you ambush Brother Marcus? Okay, so let's just get that out of the way. Let's just set that up. You guys are ridiculous. Those of y'all that think that, you're silly. You're silly, okay? This is not a gang. This isn't the charismatic Pentecostal versus the, I don't know, what are we? Evangelical free theology guys. Like, cut it out. All right, cut it out. You're goofy if you think that. Now, I'll give you guys the backstory of how the whole thing came together. One thing you guys have to know is that there's this thing called rapport. There's this thing called relationship. There's this thing called knowing what energy and what time somebody is on, and knowing how people process stuff, and how we as men are willing to have hard conversations. And everybody is willing to have a hard conversation. So let's just set that up. First and foremost, I have enough rapport with Marcus to know that both times he's been on my channel, the conversations we had offline, he's very much so spontaneous in the moment. I'm willing to talk to anybody about anything. Let's do it right now. Are you available? Okay, so that's just the energy that Marcus is on. And I almost find it offensive that, like, it's almost belittling to his personhood and the man of God that he is, that he would be ambushed. Like, that's just, to me, that's silly. Now, quick backstory. So I was on Brother Allen's channel the other day, which was incredible for me. I'm a big Alan Parr fan. I was on his channel. John McCrae brought me into that stream completely unexpected, and I was like in the middle of setting up my own stream, and then all of a sudden I'm on live with like 2 of some of my favorite Christian YouTubers. If y'all know, I refer a lot of people to Alan's channel all the time. Most of the time, if you got a question for me, just go like look up Alan's video. I'll do it all the time, because I think he's very solid. I'm not saying I agree every single nuanced position that he has, but by and large, I think Alan's very solid. So I find myself on his channel with John McCrae. I'm a big fan of John McCrae. I know John personally. Like, we've been chopping it up for months. We FaceTime, you know, I don't know, semi-regularly. We bounce ideas off of each other. I ask questions, all that kind of stuff. So I know John. So I'm on their channel, and the conversation comes up of false prophets. I shared my thought, and I said it publicly on that channel. I'm going to connect everybody because Marcus Rogers came up. I said that. If you watch that stream, that is what I said. Now, Marcus, we were going to go live on, I think, on Friday or Saturday. I don't remember what day it was. And Marcus is one of those, like, I hit him up like, yo, man, it's after the election. You want to go on? He's like, let's do it right now. And I'm like, I can't do it right now. I'm hanging out with my son. He's like, just so you know, I want to address the people that are calling me a false prophet. I was like, oh, great. Now, who made videos about the situation. Well, Alan, I don't know if they mentioned him by name, but I think they used this picture in both of their videos about the failed Trump prophecies. So Marcus wants to talk about the people who accused him of being a false prophet. I just told him that I'm going to connect everybody, right? So I'm going into Monday. Again, guys, we're all creators. We're all busy. This is all spontaneous. I'm texting with Marcus. I think Sunday I set up the thumbnail. He confirmed for Monday, and he's like, yo, just be flexible with me. He texts me Monday. I'm like, yo, here's the Zoom link. We're going to go live in about an hour. He's like, hey, can we push it out? Right, and can we push it out because I'm helping some people with the snow. I guess there's a big snowstorm in Chicago, so he's helping me with snow. So we're just kind of, we're kind of playing it by ear. All along, John's son is having some medical issues. He's in and out of the urgent care, in and out of the emergency room, and so I spontaneously shoot Alan the link. I don't know, about the same time I sent it to. I sent it to Marcus. I sent it to John. I'm like, hey, I know you probably can't make it. Here's the link. I go lay down, take a nap, because we're supposed to do it at 4 o'clock. If anybody that tuned in live, you remember that the time changed multiple times because Marcus said, yo, I'm helping people with the snow. I got to do it later. I said, no problem. I'm at your disposal. We'll figure it out. Not a big deal. So I lay down, and then I wake up thinking it's supposed to be at 4 o'clock. I get a text from him at 11 o'clock, my time. And he's like, yo, let's do it right now. I got some time. I'm like, all right, cool. So I jump out. Y'all was like, yo, you look tired in the stream, right? He's just like, I wasn't tired. I had just woken up from a nap. So I run down, I start the stream, and we just jump right into it. And, we just started having questions. What I didn't want to do was have another interview that we did last time with me grilling him the entire conversation. And if you guys want to know all my objections to his views, whether politically, theologically, whatever, you can go back, watch that stream. It's a 2-hour stream. It's chopped up into multiple contests. I didn't want to do a repeat of that. And I did absolutely want to connect brothers, because anybody that knows me and knows me in real life or even in the Patreon community knows that I am a connector. I connect people all the time. And 2, I did want to create a moment for the YouTube Christian space, because these are folks that are Alan Parr, John McCrae, and Marcus Rogers are some of the biggest, folks in the space. I wanted to bring people together. I wanted to have a conversation. I absolutely wanted to do that. So yeah, so we rolled with it. Alan was in the stream. I texted him the link earlier. I don't know if it was the day before. I honestly think it was the day of. Texted him the link. Alan hopped in. John is with his kids, mind you, so he's not even watching the stream. So that's why kind of when he hopped in, he hadn't got no sleep. And John, listen, John McCrae is like A1 through and through. Like, don't sit here and think he was like, oh, he was attacking people. No, he came with very specific questions that he wanted answers to. I feel like he had, Marcus attempted to give him some answers, and I think that's what it was. So, but yes, mind you, he missed some of the stream. He didn't hear some of the answers early in the stream with Marcus admitting he was wrong, admitting that he got it wrong. But John was literally coming from the hospital because his son has been having some issues, and so praying for him, that whole thing. Again, so you have to consider a couple of things. You have to consider, one, I have enough rapport with Marcus to know the energy that he's on, and I do onto others as I would have them do onto me. Meaning that if I was having a conversation with Marcus and some of his acquaintances and friends had made videos about me, I would want to talk to them in a stream, straight up. I would want that, right? And I knew he would want that, and so that's all there is to that. So one, you got to factor in rapport. 2, I'm going to connect people. I don't like talking about people who did this or that or whatever. If we could talk to people, that's why I have Marcus on the channel, and I know there needed to be a conversation, and I thought it was helpful. 3, this notion of AdSense and this notion of like, oh, Ruslan's trying to get rich on YouTube. If you know anything about the way YouTube works, you would know that it doesn't generate that much money. I mean, I do okay, but it doesn't generate that much money. And I chop every single video I do. Literally every single video I do. I've been doing this for years. I take a long interview, a long live stream, and I chop it down into bite-sized pieces, because some people ain't got 90 minutes to sit through a whole interview, and I rank it in a way of topics. I've done this for years. So this whole notion of like, when is enough? what are you trying to get rich? Like, yeah, dog, trying to get rich off of Christian YouTube. Like, come on, that's a for you. On top of which, I'm coming off of a 7-week suspension, so my algorithm is already wonky, and the video didn't even do numbers like that, if we're gonna keep it a buck. Like the video, I think it's at like 23,000 views. There's videos I do by myself without any guests that do better than that. So cut that out. Like you're either goofy or you're extremely new. All right, you're either goofy or you're extremely new. Now, you guys are like, oh, John was rude. John was da-da-da. Listen, John wanted to say what he wanted to say. He wanted to say it directly to him. Public statements sometimes require public responses. If you don't believe me, go to the book of Acts and see what Paul and Mark disagreed. Marcus referenced that. Go to the book of Galatians and see where Paul confronted Peter because Peter wasn't consistent what was already agreed upon in Acts 15 in terms of not holding the Gentile Christians to the Jewish law. So there's multiple examples of folks being called out by name all over the New Testament. So this whole notion of like, oh, we have to have, private conversations with brothers. Listen, this stuff was said publicly. John said stuff publicly. Alan said stuff publicly. It's good to hash this stuff out publicly so that there's no confusion and everybody knows where it is. And again, I feel like Marcus is my brother. I'm praying for him. I feel like he is in real time coming to revelation. And in the next segment, I'm going to talk about why I relate to him so much in terms of my own experience dropping the ball in some big ways, thankfully without a massive platform, right? Thankfully getting it wrong without a massive platform. So this whole notion that like John was rude or whatever, John came in, he had specific questions. Marcus answered some of them, didn't answer some of them, and there's a time and a place for direct and blunt conversation. So no one's a child here. Like, let's not coddle anybody. Let's not prop everybody and use scripture out of context how could you touch the Lord's anointed or the Lord? Like, we're not on that. Like, everybody's a Christian. Everybody's filled with the Spirit. Everybody can hear from God. And if there's an issue, we need to have these conversations directly when they're about public issues. It's not like this is a local church thing and we're all in proximity. No. These are public people with public platforms. And Marcus made some statements and he needed to be corrected. And I think it was fruitful. Now, the after effect, this is the part where I responded to a few of you guys. The moment we got off live, Marcus was the first one to text me and say, bro, I love you. This was awesome. Thank you. Have Alan hit me up. And I started a group text. We've been talking offline in the group text about just different, kind of where we left the conversation off. And so me and Marcus have been talking. So it's like, you guys think that like he left offended or hurt. Like, he left extremely gracious and he went way over the time he had allotted because he was in the middle of helping people get out of the snow. So the notion of like, oh, you ambushed him and how dare you touch God's anointing. It's like, yo, this one thing Marcus is not is a coward, and one thing Marcus is not is fake, and one thing Marcus is not is engaging and willing to have dialogue. All right. So let's not let's not conscrew things because maybe you felt the way about the conversation. But I was absolutely wanting to ultimately create a moment for you guys because there's people that watch my videos, John's videos, Marcus's videos, and Alan's videos. And I definitely wanted to create a moment, not because of AdSense. It's not making. That video is not going to make thousands of dollars probably, right? So, am I sweating? I think you're just confused about my amazing skincare routine. Anybody that thinks I'm sweating, you're tripping. Now, so that's the after story of it. Those of you guys that think that somebody was ambushed, like you're in some kind of like mobster Christian church movie. Like this isn't that, okay? This isn't that. These are brothers who have public platforms. These are brothers that want to have conversations publicly about public statements. And Marcus wanted to address people who he had issues with, and I wanted to bring everybody together. I thought it was extremely fruitful. You decide on who you continue following. And there's some of you guys that are extremely like one-sided. Like some of y'all are calling Alan a heretic. I don't know how that's possible. Other you guys are saying Marcus doesn't know Jesus. Like some of you guys are really wild. So the question in all of this is, what's the difference between someone that's in error and needs to be gently corrected, and what's the difference between that person and someone that's a wolf in sheep's clothing? I don't think Brother Marcus is a wolf in sheep's clothing. I think Brother Marcus comes from the Pentecostal tradition that has a different view of being filled with the Spirit, of what that looks like, what sanctification may look like. I think he has a different view of maybe the Trinity, or he started with a different view of the Trinity. And I definitely think he has a different view of the way the end times play out. And so he's preparing for this persecution that's supposed to come upon the church, and then the tribulation, all that kind of stuff. And there's a variety of views on that alone. Like there's a variety of views on end times timeline, and when is this gonna happen? Pre-millennial, post-millennial, amillennial. You guys could go watch. Mike Winger just did an incredible message on that specific topic. Bible Project did an entire thing on apocalyptic literature. So there's a variety of views that people can look at the end times doctrine. He holds a very particular view where he's waiting for persecution to break out in his lifetime. I personally don't hold that view. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm just saying I'm not sitting here afraid, upset, expecting persecution. That's not the energy that I'm on. I'm praying for Biden just like I prayed for Trump. And I'm going to continue praying for all these leaders. And so that's a little bit of the backstory. Hopefully that gives you some context. Hopefully that just, some of y'all just really need to chill. Like you guys are so uptight about some of this stuff. Like if there was an issue, brothers wouldn't be telling each other, yo, I love you guys. Great conversation. Let's do it again. I'm willing to come on anybody's platform, and then texting after. If there was any type of issue. And if anybody felt the way, which again, this is where rapport comes in, and that we're not in a Christian mobster movie where someone's getting ambushed and shot, right? Yeah, just the word ambush. Like I keep saying the word ambush come out. Yeah, hilarious. But like, if there was some kind of issues, brothers wouldn't be in a group text afterwards. We wouldn't be chopping it up. And you know, again, hey, you don't like John's tone? Well, hey, he came with the most congruent, consistent version of himself. I feel like me and Alan were extremely gracious, and as was John. But yes, John was coming out of, you know, being in the hospital, not having a ton of sleep, and so I don't know, what are we, the tone police now? Like, oh, I didn't like his tone. He was just a little too harsh. He asked them very pointed questions, and then when Marcus didn't answer him, he called him out on that. We're tone policing now? Like, come on. Anyway, so that's that. I'm going to do another segment here, and I want to talk to you guys about the time I had a false prophecy. Don't you go nowhere.
Kingstream Entertainment. Ruslan.
Joshua the King came down and bore it all. Yeah. Conversations front of the fireplace. All of my mistakes, how do I erase? Wanna operate at a higher pace. Birth pains causing the body to dilate. On a first name basis with the worst pain facing. Moments in isolation. See, I was hoping I would do this to get more family time. A business